Okay, I just got the bones out of the oven. These are roasted. So I've got my crock pot ready. I'm going to add some onions, garlic, a little bit of apple cider vinegar that just helps get the bone marrow out, salt and pepper. So I'm going to place these in my crock pot. I wish I had a big roasting pan, but I don't, so I'm just using what I got already available. I'm going to add this. Get as much as I can in there. I already have one crock pot going. Okay, so originally I roasted my bones in the oven on 400 degrees for about 2 hours. So after that, I have put them in a crock pot. If you had a roasting pan, that would be, electric roaster, that would be awesome because it's more room. But since I don't have one, I've used 3 crock pots to cook my bones. And I've cooked them a little bit over 24 hours. So right now I am taking the bones out of the crock pot and I'm putting them in a baking pan or cookie sheet because I am going to cook these again probably a couple more times to get as much of the collagen and all the good stuff out of the bones. And then I will strain it. First of all, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator, let it cool so I can separate the fat from the broth. And this is what it will look like. You can see the fat comes on the top, the broth is in the bottom. So I will also get ready to can that as well. But again, this is just another step. This is a long process, but it's so worth it. So I'm going to continue to get my bones out. I'm going to put them back in the crock pot, cover them with water again, and cook them for another 24 hours. Again, just another step. As you can see, I put my onions and my garlic in there. I'm going to kind of put them in the middle so to make sure they are immersed in the water. And then I'm going to finish filling up to the top with the meat bones. Okay, I'm adding my 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to add some pepper just for flavor. And some salt. I'm going to finish filling the crock pot up with water. Okay. I'm going to put a lid on it and I'm going to let it cook for about 24 hours. So the bones are all out. So what I do is I strain mine. I have just a tea strainer underneath here and I put some cheesecloth on the top just to keep the meat particles in my broth. And then the next thing we'll do is start canning it.
Okay, we're cooking the beef stock. These are the crock pots. We're cooking them for over 24 hours. NAVA V has already cooked these bones a couple of times, so it's been a couple of days. But once you pull the bones out, drain the beef stock and everything, we put them back in and trying to get all the stock and the goodness out of them. This is something that we've already ran through the cheesecloth and strainer and everything, but you can see the fat that floats on the top. Below that is going to be the actual stock, and so we save the beef fat. We'll have the beef stock, we'll can the beef stock, and we'll also can the fat for future use. Was
tallow.
That the tallow? There we go.
We'll prep it as well.
We'll prep it as well.
So again, we are continuing doing beef stock. I have 3 crock pots here. This has got beef bones in them. I put them in after I roast them, I put them in a crock pot. I let them cook overnight for about 20, well, actually for 24 hours. And as you can see, the broth is in them. So those are ready to be separated. I'll take the bones out of them, and then I'll put them in a container and put them in my refrigerator overnight. And then this is what they're going to look like. This has been in the refrigerator overnight. So as you can see, the fat has actually hardened. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this fat out, separate it, and start getting it ready to can. Again, the stock and broth is different. This stock has your collagen and nutrients in it because it comes from the bones, where usually when you're doing broth, it's actually just from the meat and the fat. So we're going to get this off. We'll be ready to heat it up and start canning it in a few minutes. As you can see, it's in a congealed state. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to heat this up to a liquid form. I'll be putting it in my jars and start processing it. Now, on my beef stock, I'm actually going to use this for some of my canning for my burritos in the jar, for my stews, my soups. So I haven't put a lot of seasoning other than salt and pepper. You can, back to the crock pot, when you've got it in the crock pot and cooking overnight, you can add onions, carrots, garlic, any kind of seasoning that you think you will need. But since I'm using mine for something else, the only thing I'm adding to mine will be salt and pepper. Okay, I have heated up my beef stock. It's ready to be put in the jars. I also have my canner warming up because this will be hot, so I want my canner water to be hot as well. I have put a funnel, piece of cheesecloth, and then we always call them tea strainers. So what I do is I take my broth, because I don't want any bones or pieces of meat particles or anything to go in my jar. A few's okay, but not a whole lot. I'm gonna fill these jars, I'm gonna put my lids on them and my rings, and then I'm gonna place them in the canner. Have a great day.
This is the stocks that Nana's made. You can see some of them, she put different ingredients in it. Some of them are this, a little darker here. She does have some niblets down here she's going to use for some stews and stuff. That's fine. There's some fat over there. So, yeah, they're all going to look a little bit different, but they're all really good and they're really, really handy. Thanks for watching Chief and Grandstand. Thanks for supporting the veterans and supporting us that we can help support the veterans.